Hi everyone. Just before we get into this week's episode, we just wanted to highlight and I suppose really call out our stance on everything that is happening in the world at the minute with the protests and the outrage and the whole Black Lives Matter movement that is going on at the minute. But we just wanted to call out, we wholeheartedly support Black Lives Matter and everything that they are standing for at the minute. And it's not something that we have mentioned in last week's episode, and it's not something that we really mentioned in this episode, which is why I wanted to add this here at the start of this week's episode, just to, I suppose, make our stance on it very clear. Our fellow podcasters, Once Upon a Scream, have done a fantastic episode around racism and white privilege and how to navigate that and become a better ally. So what we're going to do is the very first thing that you will come across in the show notes will be a link directly to that episode that they've created. What Mikey and Ben have done is perfectly sum up how we feel at the minute and steps that you can make to better educate yourself and just put yourself in a position to become a better ally. So with all that said, on with the episode.
Hi, hello, good morning, and welcome to this week's serving of Mickey Waffles, a Disney podcast where we cover everything from parks, movies, and merchandise. My name is Sinead.
My name's Kate. Hi, guys. How's it going?
I'm good, Kate. How are you?
I'm doing pretty fine. We're opening up. Everything's coming
Hey!
back. Hey, we went from nobody leave your house to everyone go to the shops.
I know. You get to go back to work finally.
Yeah, and you go back to work on Sunday.
That
So
is
in,
mental.
like 4 days. Like there won't be anyone in the shop on Sunday, but like I'll be there and I'll be like working. I'll be like doing stuff.
Yeah. Amy's already back working. It's mad.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, I just thought it's interesting since we've gone straight from don't leave your house and don't go within 5 kilometers, and now it's like, yes, go into this massive department store and just be free.
Shop till you drop.
Yeah, I know that in Gap we have make sure to keep a gap.
I love it.
That's our tagline.
I love
Just
it.
in case you're all wondering, keep a gap. I am scared to wonder how much people in marketing got paid for that one.
Well, God love people in marketing, eh?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I bet they're really proud of themselves. But yeah, back on Sunday, have so much stuff to move, and then yeah, after Sunday I don't think I'm back in again till Thursday though. So
Very nice.
I'll come straight back to just doing nothing. But yeah.
How was your birthday week?
Oh yeah, it was good. I got Camille. It was very tasty. Then I broke my tooth and I had to go to the dentist. And then tooth had amalgamated itself to things, and I had to get the tooth pulled out. So that wasn't great. But my dentist was lovely, and my dentist wished me a happy birthday. Because my tooth broke on my birthday. So then I had to go to the dentist the next day. And she was like, "It was your birthday yesterday." And I was like, "Yeah." And this is like after she'd injected like the numbing thing into me. And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Oh, that's so sad." I was like,
I feel like you are like emotionally attached to this dentist now.
She was so lovely. And when she was injecting the numbing thing into me, she was like, "This last one's really gonna hurt." And I was like, "That's okay, don't worry about it." And like it did hurt, so I made a noise. And she like put her hand on my shoulder and she was like, "I'm so sorry." And I was like, "It is okay."
Oh, cute.
Don't worry about it. But yeah, I have a couple of more things that I need to get done with the dentist, and I'm just really excited to see her again.
Only you, Kate.
I'm like,
Only
oh,
you.
she was so lovely, and she was like, "Well, happy birthday for yesterday." I was like, "Oh, thanks."
That's adorable.
Yeah. So whenever the pain goes away, I'll be going back and being like, "Hey, I'm back, bestie."
You told gal
Come
pals.
stab my mouth again.
Oh Jesus.
But yeah, it was good. I got an Amazon voucher from my uncle, which I've already spent on books. Who's surprised? Not me. I went up to see. Oh, the day I had to go to the dentist, I went to go see my granny because she's within 5 kilometers of the dentist. So,
oh yeah,
you know, that was nice. Brought her some cake. So yeah. Well, my granny and my granddad, not just my granny. But my granddad was very good at social distancing. He stayed in the sitting room. He waved.
Very good.
He sat on the side of the sofa. I was like, oh yeah.
Cute.
And my granny's now very excited that they're allowed to go out to the shops again this week, because cocooners are allowed back into the supermarkets.
Back out into the world.
My granny uses a walker, and she was worried that some Tesco's only let like one person per trolley, and she was worried that if my granddad had a trolley and she had her walker, that they weren't going to let both of them in, because I was like, oh no, that's discrimination. I was like, if they do that, we can sue.
Yeah.
I was like,
Also,
so let me know.
I'm yet to see a Tesco that actually sticks to the. I'm yet to see a Tesco turn somebody away.
Yeah, no, actually, a guy down the road from where we live, he works in the school, and he went to Dunn's with his wife, and they queued, and halfway through the queue they realised they'd forgotten the bags, and so he went back to the shop to go get the bags, and by the time he'd come back his wife had gone in, and so he went up to the front and he went up to the guy and he was like, oh, my wife's after gone in, I just forgot the bags, we were literally just in the queue. And the guy in Dunn's was like, sorry man, no, you've got to queue again. And he was like, oh no, he was like, I like, my wife's in there, like she can't shop by herself, she's got an illness, she can't go by herself. And he was like, no, sorry mate, you've got to queue again. He turned around and went, fine then, arrest me, and walked straight into Dunn's, and then security came and escorted him out.
Oh my god, did he at least get to give his wife the bags?
I think she left as well, because he found her.
Oh, okay, fair.
So I think they both left. But he went off on one at Dunn's. He was all over their social media. I was like, just calm down. And like, we're coming to the stage now where like everything's open. Like, this was only a few days ago. Yeah. Not even like the start of lockdown. Like, things are a lot more chill now because people understand what to do. And
yeah,
man, what a time.
People are silly.
Guards can't even do anything now, and this man in Dunn's thinks he could stop you bringing the shopping bags to your wife.
Madness.
Yep. So yeah, great birthday.
Excellent.
Thanks for asking. What did you do this week, Sinead?
Well, I had last week off. I took it as a week off.
You got to join us unemployed in the lockdown life.
Yeah, and I won't lie, by Thursday I was a little bit bored.
Welcome.
Yeah.
It's made me very months.
It's made me very grateful that I've had work to focus on. So I will say that. But yeah, so just kind of had some chill time. Me and Breffney recorded a new episode of Make Mine Movies on Saving Mr. Banks. So that's up and will be linked in the show notes if anybody wants to listen. And then also this week, I was on Disney Parks and Beyond, formerly Diz After Dark. I'll also link that in the show notes. So I feel like all I've done has been talking to people.
Podcasts this week.
Hey.
And she didn't get paid for any of them.
Sad times.
But yeah, if you guys want to listen to that Disney Parks Beyond podcast, it's great. It's an episode where everyone just literally talks shit. It's great. It's just you don't have to like. It's not one of those ones where they go into depth about something. It's just like, we're gonna chat, and you're like, it's like I'm in the room with them.
I won't lie, it's kind of how it felt, because like I've listened to Disney Parks Beyond, what was Diz After Dark, for well over a year and a half now, if not probably a little bit longer. So it was kind of weird initially, because I was like, I feel like I'm just have like a front row seat. They just record via Zoom as well. But yeah, it was a little strange at first, I won't lie. But yeah, they're a good group of guys.
We have to say that. So
we're contractually obliged. No, we're not really.
No. I don't think they'd ever make us say anything. So yeah, I think that's our roundup. We might as well get on with the news. So, not much news. Who's surprised?
Shocker.
Not us. The first news is that Disneyland Paris has cancelled their Run Weekend 5th edition from September 24th to 27th. It's going to be postponed until autumn 2021. We look forward to seeing you for this exciting event. Yeah, basically. Do you know what? Because like when they're I suppose it'll be the 5th edition, but in 2021.
Yeah.
It's basically like everyone's just ignored 2020. And we're just going to continue life again in 2021. So, like, nothing's actually been cancelled. Everything's just been postponed and moved on a year.
Yeah, pretty much. The thing that I thought was interesting about this is, so DLP Report posted about it quite early on in the day, at about kind of 10:30-ish Irish time. And I sent a screenshot into, we have kind of like a group chat on Instagram, and one of the girls that comes onto the Zoom calls, Emma, does the Disney runs in Disneyland Paris. So I posted it in there and was just kind of like, really sorry to hear, whatever. But they knew before she did. She had not heard anything from Disney at the point that it was kind of being announced on social media. So she was like, okay, guess I'm not going to Disneyland Paris at all then. So it just seems a bit, and I get that there's no easy way to kind of get round to everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, bit bananas.
You'd hope, like, they're obviously not, but you'd really hope that Disney would email the people who had the tickets to the things to say it was cancelled before making a public announcement about it. Like, even if people got the emails and then were putting it up on their social media, like, that didn't really matter if people were doing that first. I just think it's like a bit of courtesy to just be like, hey, FYI, we're going to postpone this, blah, blah. And then once you send out that mass email, you can then be like, hey, we're going to put it up on our socials. I find it really interesting because we'll kind of talk about some more of the Disney World updates in a little bit, but like they've cancelled anybody that had tickets for a lot of the kind of events that would be running in Disney World, like the Extra Morning Magic and those after the park closed events where you kind of just get to stay for a couple hours. Like the villains ones.
Yeah, like anything, stuff like that, they were just automatically refunding people. But I'm kind of like, so DLP don't think they're going to be able to run race weekend at the end of September.
That was like a me joke.
But like DLP are saying that they can't see themselves being able to do race weekend, which compared to the race weekend that they do in Florida, it's very teeny tiny.
Oh yeah.
But we still don't know what the story's going to be with the likes of Mickey's Not So Scary and Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. So it's kind of
States.
Yeah, like we don't know what, because they've also not mentioned what the potentially, if they're going to do the Halloween party in DLP or not, or
do you know why I think
don't know.
They haven't said anything?
Why?
Because they don't know themselves.
Yeah. But I don't think the tickets for the Halloween party had gone on sale yet for DLP, so maybe they just won't. Maybe it's easier to just not put them on sale rather than to have to kind of put them on sale and then refund people.
Yeah, I think the one from DLP could very easily not happen. I also think that is helped by the French government and the French government actually having a strategic plan.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the US, also like if you've ever been to the party in DLP compared to the party in Walt Disney World, they're very different. The one in DLP is literally just character meet and greets and then a massive conglomeration of people all the time. So I think it is very easy for them to justify not having it at all.
True.
But part of me hopes that by the time it gets to Halloween in Disney World that they're able to have at least shows and fireworks again. And so then is it kind of like, if they've figured out some way to do meet and greets, will they find it justifiable to be like, nah,
maybe
we'll take your money?
I mean, Disney will always find a way to be like, we'll take your money. So I wouldn't necessarily be worried about that.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they're not waiting until they at least open under COVID restrictions until they decide what they're going to do with their extra parties that require large conglomerations of people and many meet and greets, and that's the whole point. And
can you imagine
the Halloween add-on dessert party that you also add on to your ticket as well? You can't have that anymore. All those food on shared plates, oh my god, dessert parties are going to be no more. They're not going to do them ever again unless you get them on little baggies. Sorry, go on.
Can you imagine like the shit show that was Meet Noogie Boogie last year? Can you imagine that? But with like today's hindsight.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like we were so jam-packed with 10 million people and nobody knew what was going on. There was zero social distancing in any way, shape or form. Like it just bananas. Absolute bananas.
Yeah, I'll be very excited to see when DLP does open how people take to the social distancing. Just because
I mean,
it's DLP.
they can't stick to feckin' smoking area, so what the hell's going to keep them 2 meters away from anybody?
Yeah, it's just, oh, it's going to be so exciting. I'm not going to have to risk my life to do it, to see what's happening, because other people will. Great.
Exactly. And then the other piece of news that we got from DLP, so the Disneyland Paris PhotoPass customer service has disclosed that their website should be back online during the week of June 15th, which is next week. The site was closed back in March as Disneyland Paris was about to take over its management from partner Fujifilm. So you should be able to get access to your photos again, which would be very nice. I'm really intrigued to see how different PhotoPass in DLP is now that they've moved away from Fujifilm.
Yeah,
and that it's like kind of completely done by them now.
Yeah, I always assumed that it was just like a partnership. Like, do you know the kind of like Fujifilm just had their name on it kind of thing?
Yeah.
In my head, Fujifilm didn't actually, like, I think Fujifilm probably only offered like the software to be able to put picture to screen kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I assume Disney were just like, yeah, we got it, don't worry. But I think, yeah, I don't know. I doubt it'll be overly different.
I hope it's less clunky. I hope the photos show up in better quality. I hope it's easier to find your photos in it, because that app is horrific.
Yeah, that app is very, very bad. Like, it's very clunky and it doesn't work all the time and pictures get lost a lot. Like, I'm also interested to see if anyone loses pictures with this move over. If some of them just disappeared into the ether to never return. Yeah,
I'm intrigued because I mean, we can keep an eye and ask Andrea and Sam, because obviously they were there start of March, and that's kind of when they started doing the move over. So I'm intrigued to see if all their kind of photos from their more recent trips are still kind of A-okay.
And we know for a fact Sam is still looking for some photos that she lost. So I'll be interested to see if one, she ever gets the courage to do it, to ask them. And two, if she has any missing, or if they are easily found or anything like that.
Yeah. Fingers crossed anyways.
And then finally, back on the rumour mill with old DLP, there's a potential rumoured opening date of 15th of July. Complete rumour, all speculation, all to do with the French government. Nothing has been released from DLP, but you know what? I'm so hungry for a reopening date. I'll start clutching onto the rumours at this stage.
Yeah. So as we kind of mentioned last week, like, this has not come from DLP or anything like that. This has literally just been what's floating around the ether, shall we say. And I know a lot of the DLP Facebook groups are very much trying to like lock down on people not discussing or kind of giving false hope about rumored dates and stuff like that. So yeah, who knows? Hopefully in the next few weeks. You would imagine they would have to announce it kind of soon. But also, I mean, I don't even know how. I suppose for people that are within France, happy days. But if you're traveling from outside of France, the French government are requiring you to quarantine for 2 weeks. So how the hell is that going to work with anybody that's traveling from overseas?
But if you come back to Ireland, you also have to quarantine for 2 weeks.
Yeah, but that's fine. I can quarantine for 2 weeks here and just work from home. That's fine.
That's fine for you. But if I wanted to go, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, this is true.
I'd have to take
like 3-day trip would cost you over a month.
A month's holidays. And I can't take a month off just to go to DLP for 3 days. Do you know what I mean? But it's the same thing. Like, that's also you having to take basically 3 weeks off to go to DLP for a weekend.
Yeah.
Because you'd have to quarantine there for 2 weeks.
Yeah. So I still have my trip booked for the kind of start of September. I had a look on the Air France website the other day because my flights are booked through Air France, and they're only letting you change bookings up until I think the 1st of August. They haven't extended that at all.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I haven't kind of overly spoken to Mel about it. I think we're just kind of waiting to see how things are. If it's a case that we don't have to quarantine when we get there, might still go. I don't know. Might try and move it. I have honestly no idea.
I mean, I said last week, been saying it for the past 2.5 months. The situation's so fluid and things change so quickly. Like, this time last week, like, I didn't think I was going back to work for another 2 months. and
Yeah.
now I'm going back on Sunday. So it's just everything's changing so quickly, and they're definitely gonna lift the whole travel thing at some stage, because they can't have everyone quarantining in their own country and the other country for 2 weeks. It's just a case of when they'll lift it. But yeah, I think it's fair to just keep an eye on it, because what else can you do, really? There's no point in jumping the gun and cancelling everything when it's still so far away.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously there's kind of talks between different countries creating air bridges and stuff, and Ireland does for the most part seem to be in a pretty stable state. Our cases are very low, and mercifully our deaths are quite low. There are still deaths happening, which obviously is never a good thing, but our rates have kind of been consistently low for the past few weeks. So if they are kind of developing air bridges, you would imagine that we would kind of be a prime candidate for it.
Yeah, I know in the last press conference they said that they currently have no like plans for air bridges like at the moment, because it's obviously not top of their list, but it's definitely something they'll absolutely get to, especially because like between Dublin and London, like Dublin and London is such a prominent, like, what's the word I'm looking for, that thing between two flights, layover, going from Dublin to London and London to Dublin, having like a transfer flight, that's one of like the busiest air routes in Europe for those flights. So like they'll definitely figure something out. It's just probably a case of when.
Yeah. So.
And I just have when people talk about them, I just envision like these like tubes in the sky that planes fly through. That are like specially funneled tubes, and you go directly from one tube to another, to the end of the other tube in a different country.
Yeah. No, same.
I'm like, air bridge. Woo!
Although I will say, so me and Breffney were planning on going to DLP for his birthday next year, which is the day before Valentine's Day. And we'd already kind of discussed like driving over, and now I'm kind of like, now it seems like an even better idea, because you literally don't have to be near anybody. Like, just now, obviously, sitting in the car for the whole boat journey would be a little bit painful.
But you're not allowed. You have to get out of your car.
Yeah. But like,
you die if you do that.
But like, I mean, it's better than, I suppose, sitting in a metal tube in the air.
I mean, when you're on a boat, you can go outside.
Yeah.
Like you can walk outside on the boat.
Yeah. Get some fresh sea air.
Yeah. You can watch all the what I used to call the suds at the back of the boat, because at the back of the boat where all the water goes white because it's being chugged out so much. I used to call it the suds.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, I travelled on boats a lot.
Nice.
Did a lot of boating. That's pretty much it for DLP.
Yeah. And then, I mean, we don't have any, I suppose, kind of necessarily concrete news from over in the States. Walt Disney World released kind of some updated information for their reopening of Walt Disney World. So Universal, when they reopened, said that any guests that had reservations to stay in their resorts were guaranteed park entry. Disney World has come out and said that that is not the case. So if you have a reservation, it does not guarantee you entry to a park, which I just find a bit bananas.
Oh, like if you're staying in a hotel.
Yeah. So if you were say booked to stay in, for example, the Polynesian, you're not guaranteed to get into any park for your stay.
That is just outrageous, really, isn't it?
Like they're not prioritizing hotel guests at all, which I get that obviously they have considerably more hotel rooms on site. They have more parks, so it's a bit more of a logistical nightmare. And I get that it is easier for Universal to just kind of say, okay, we have 5,000 rooms booked out and each room has a maximum of 3 people. So we just need to have an allotted amount for the parks of 15,000 people. That's fine. And I get that it's much more difficult for Disney to do that. However, I don't see how that could be completely impossible.
Impossible. I think it's quite silly. I think that they're making things harder for themselves.
Absolutely.
I know that when we last talked about this, I was just of the opinion that it was so much easier for them to know how many people they have staying in the hotels, having that as a cap, and being like, hey, you're going to go to Magic Kingdom this day. You're going to go to Epcot this day. you're going to go to Animal Kingdom this day, and be like, yeah, I realize 2 of those parks are only half-day parks, but you know what? Just deal with it. Go on some things twice. Have another go back to your resort. Chill. Go for dinner. Do something. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? It's just, I feel like if Disney had just taken a bit more of a stronger approach to be like, hey, you're here for 7 days. This is where you're going to go on each day. Yeah. And it doesn't matter, because it doesn't, like, you don't, like, all the planning that's taken with Walt Disney World is now gone. Because there's no fast passes and no reservations. So you don't need to worry about what day you're going where. So Disney World literally just had to be like, hey, on your opening day, you're going here, 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 here. If you would like to change any of those, let us know and we'll see what we can do. But otherwise, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
And it just guarantees you into the actual park at minimum.
Yeah. And like we chatted about it a little bit on Disney Parks and Beyond, and P-Tops came up with a really good, valid point of, so at the previous setup that was in Disney World was, if you had a reservation for a Walt Disney World resort, you could book your fast passes 60 days in advance. Mm-hmm. So 2 months before you go, you get priority to go in and book your fast passes for your rides. And then if you are an annual pass holder, or if you are just using a general admission ticket, if you're not staying on site, once you get to 30 days before your ticket, then you can book your fast passes from then. Mm-hmm. So I don't see how they can't do the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing, just different.
Yeah, like if you can say go in on your day 60 and you can say, okay, I'm staying there for 7 days. I'm going to do Magic Kingdom day 1. I'll do Hollywood Studios day 2, and just book it. You would still know who's where. And if anything, would that not be more beneficial from Disney to know, say, 2 months out, where they're, say, like, not priority guests, because I get that everybody should be a priority, but if people are paying to stay in resorts, they should be seen as a bit more of a priority, because they are giving more money to Disney. And it means that they'll know where the bulk of their guests are going to be each day. And that would kind of help with also scheduling cast. So I don't know how using that system doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I just think, like, when people go to stay on Disney property, they're staying on Disney property because, apart from maybe 1 day or 2 days, they're spending all of their time in Disney World. They're not planning on going shopping for 3 days. They're not planning on splitting their time half and half between there and Universal. Because if you're going to do that, you're going to stay in a villa and rent a car and go between the two. Like, yeah, if you're staying on site, you're there for Disney. So why are you making it so difficult for the people that are? See, and then I don't know, because I know you were talking about how people are basically like, and Disney doesn't want people to come until next year. So it's also like, is it really a deterrent? Because you're like, fuck that. I'm not going to book a week and a half in the Contemporary to then be like, I could actually only get into the park 1 day of my week and a half stay. That's not worth it. Very true. People are like, nah, I'll just go when I can go, and I can be guaranteed entrance into the park.
Yeah, I don't know. And like, I also, because at the end of the day, people that go to Disney, and people that, especially when you start getting into the likes of the deluxes and stuff like that, people can get quite entitled. Call a spade a spade.
They do, though, because like some of the deluxe resorts are very expensive.
Like, are thousands of dollars to stay a night.
Yeah, like outrageously expensive. Like, you're talking like 28 grand to stay there for like a week.
Like they're and certain resorts are opening way before the parks open. So I think from kind of next week or the week after, they're starting to reopen some of the DVC resorts. So Wilderness Lodge, the Polynesian bungalows, stuff like that. So they are people that are literally spending thousands of dollars a night. And I'm like, to do what? Pools aren't open. Campfires aren't open. Boats aren't open. What are you going to do? Pay thousands of dollars a night to stay in a Polynesian bungalow and just go to Disney Springs? Are you having a laugh?
Yes.
Like,
they could go out, stand outside that M&M's World that's not open yet.
Oh, I feel I've never heard as much about M&M World as I have this week.
It made me laugh. I was like, wow, we're really talking about it, aren't we?
Yeah. But like, I feel like Disney are leaving themselves open to get more guest complaints than is necessary. Because if you go and you book to stay for a whole week, but you can't get into a single park, all you're going to do is complain. Because why the hell else would you be going to Walt Disney World other than to go into the theme parks? So I feel like by either letting people book their parks by letting resort guests book their parks ahead of time, or, like I mentioned on the other podcast, using the Tokyo Disneyland option where you get, say, a 3-day ticket and you can only go to one park, and they could even specify it more granularly than that, like you said. So, okay, if you're here for 5 days, you do Magic Kingdom twice and you do each of the other parks once, and this is the order that you do them in. Like, I feel like, and I get that people would bitch and moan about that as well, because it wouldn't be the way that they would want to do it, and maybe they don't want to do this park or whatever. But I feel like people would be more pissed off not getting into any parks than being told you have to go to this park on this day.
Yeah, exactly. It just, it screams Chapek.
Honestly, doesn't it just? Like you mean
to
tell me we can get thousands of people to show up to Disney World to have them pay for tickets and they won't get into the park? Brilliant.
Talk about that guest experience.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Come on, Josh Tomorrow. We hope for better.
Come on, Tomorrow. You can do it. Help us, please. I wouldn't be surprised if Chapek is like, tomorrow, not now.
Yeah.
Come back when we're open. Come back when we have money to do things.
Honestly. So that's the situation with Walt Disney World. We still don't have concrete dates for kind of anywhere else yet. However, Universal in Orlando did open this week.
Yes. And it seems pretty fun.
Yeah. I did. So they opened, I think, on Monday. So Monday and Tuesday of last week, which was the 1st and 2nd of June, they had team member previews. So kind of like the A team, for lack of a better way to phrase it, kind of ran the first day, and then the B team ran the second day, just so they could kind of like test everything out. And then the following 2 days were annual pass holder previews. And from what I've kind of seen online and from what I've heard from people that were there, they were absolute shit shows. They were just rammed with people. Hulk had like a 75-minute wait and stuff like that. Like, it was lunacy.
That's crazy.
However, and I'm taking most of my information from Craig from the Diz that spoke about it on their Tuesday show on YouTube. So he said the pass holder previews were a bloody nightmare. However, he then went back the first day of just like general opening, and it was totally fine.
Yeah, I've only seen the video from Tim Tracker, and it was fine. Everything was really low wait. It was busy, but not really busy. It was, as Tim said, it was busier than he thought it would be, but it wasn't busy. And he only went to Islands of Adventure. I assume that's because it was going to be the less busy park. And yeah, everything was really low wait times. Like Gringotts was only 20 minutes. Like, and I think that had like the highest wait time. Hagrid's went down for a bit, but like all of the queuing systems everything was 2 meters apart. And he was like, most people are wearing their masks. He hadn't seen that many people just taking them off. And but one thing was, he went to one of the rest areas, which is where you can take your mask off. And in Universal, they're doubling up the smoking areas as the rest stations. He was like, so you go to a rest area and you have to stand beside someone who's smoking.
That, like, lads, hindsight, come on now.
I know, it's just, wow. Very bit funny, like.
I did see a couple of people saying that they had seen a few, not very many, but a few guests that were kind of carrying around coffee cups and seemed to be carrying around coffee cups all the live long day, just so they had the excuse to not have their mask on because they were taking a drink. So now I have heard, from what I've heard, for the most part, it has been totally fine, and the vast majority of guests aren't doing that. But I mean, I suppose there'll always be those few, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just the way it is, I suppose, isn't it? It's the way the cookie crumbles.
Exactly.
Oh, I know, I'm so sick of talking about people wearing face masks in parks.
I
feel like that's all we've talked about for like 2 months is, I don't want to wear a mask in the park and I have rights.
It's like, we all have rights, Karen. Chill out.
Calm down. Just calm down. Anywho, yeah, that's pretty much all the news. Pretty much all we got.
Pretty much.
We're so much closer to Frozen 2 on Disney Plus. Woo, 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 woo. But then we go
I'm
from
going to be
Frozen
devastated
Strew.
for you if you're working the day that Frozen 2 gets released, because I feel like that's all you've been waiting for.
It's going to go from Frozen 2, and then 2 days later, it's Hamilton. It's like nothing happened, and then everything's going to happen.
Boom.
So excited. Or is it the other way around?
That
Maybe it's
much.
Hamilton, then Frozen.
No, I think it's Frozen then Hamilton. Hamilton's July 5th, isn't it?
Yeah,
No, actually, isn't that the 3rd? Because it's just before Independence Day? Or am I wrong?
I can't remember. One of them's the 3rd, and one of them's the 5th. Maybe Hamilton's first.
Because I thought it was to do Hamilton Disney Plus. July 3rd, just before Independence Day.
And then Frozen 2 comes out July 5th.
And then Frozen's the 5th.
Wow, what a time. So much excitement.
So you have time to watch Hamilton several times and then start watching Frozen several times. What more could you want?
And you guys will hear all about it. Well, not Frozen,
Hey.
but Hamilton, yeah.
I think that's fair. So before we get into the main part of the episode, we just wanted to give you guys a reminder. We're doing another one of our Disney quizzes this Friday, which is the day this episode will be released. So if you're listening to it already and it hasn't happened, come join us. Little eager beaver. Look at you listening to the episode super early. And if you've not,
Wow.
if you've missed out, we're really sorry we missed you. Try join next time. They're really fun.
Yeah. We're good crack.
Yeah. Kate's going to create another quiz. Lord knows what they're getting more obscure as the weeks go on, and I kind of love the more obscure they're getting.
Yeah, do you know what? It'll all get. I don't even know what it's going to be yet because I haven't done it yet. It's all going to get done tomorrow. I have a Zoom call tomorrow morning, and then after that Zoom call, I'm fine. And then I'll just. I was going to say Zoom through it. That was a bad use of words. Just power through it, but I still don't know what I'm going to do yet. So, it's all a mystery.
Excitement's all around. So if you do want to join, just pop us a DM over on Instagram and we'll send you the details. We do the quizzes via Zoom. We do the quiz. We have a general little chit chat. We have a nice little core group of people that join pretty much every time. And they're a rather lovely lot. So yeah, come join us. It's fun. We're not scary.
Only Sinead.
Rude. I prefer the term spooky, I'll have you know. So, following on with our series that we've been doing for the past few weeks, where we are building in our dream parks by breaking apart all the various Disney parks around the world and clubbing them together like some weird Frankenstein monster.
Not Frankenweenie, if you will, Sinead.
I swear to God. Some things like come up one time during the week and then just continue on for the whole rest of the time. But yes. So we've done Main Street, we've done Fantasyland, last week was Adventureland, and this week we asked you lovely folks whether we should do Frontier or Tomorrowland. We were really hoping you would pick Frontierland, and you did. You came through.
Woo! To be fair, I also voted on the thing myself from my own personal account, so just
big
hands
same.
up there.
But there were enough that we didn't overly impact
No,
the final tally.
It was a pretty clear winner.
Exactly.
You guys like us.
Exactly. So, like we kind of did last week, where we kind of added in a couple additional lands where necessary. So, with the Disneyland Resort, we've included both Frontierland and also Critter Country. And then from Walt Disney World, we've included Liberty Square and Frontierland as well, I think. And then Shanghai doesn't have Frontierland, which I find absolutely bizarre.
Bizarre or bazaar?
Throwback to last week. I feel like I really enjoy, I honestly think, especially in Disneyland Paris, I think Frontierland is my favourite land.
Yeah, you really like Frontierland. I think it's got a big thing to do with Phantom Manor and how well it fits into the theme. And then also you've got Big Thunder, which is just a very special ride. And there's just a lot of things in Frontierland that really speak to your aesthetic, I think.
Yeah. I feel like Frontierland is DLP's time to shine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I just think the whole general aesthetic of DLP's Frontierland, first and foremost, that's where I'm going. I'm sticking with the DLP aesthetic because it's just fab. Fits perfectly, particularly if it's the Halloweeny time of year and it's all done up with Dia de los Muertos, and it's just, beautiful. Love it.
Yeah, I also picked just like the aesthetic and ideal of the DLP Frontierland because it just makes so much sense. Like, it's the one thing in DLP where you're like, wow, oh wow, oh look at that, wow.
Yeah, it doesn't just feel thrown together. Like, it feels like a fully, not that Adventureland doesn't, because I feel like the DLP Adventureland with Skull Rock and the Jolly Roger is really impactful, but there's just not a lot there. Whereas, and even then, there's not that many attractions in Frontierland and DLP, but I think the whole land itself is just so aesthetically pleasing and cohesive, and it just, they did it right. They did a good job.
Yeah, agreed. So what's your first ride?
I feel like Frontierland is just synonymous with Big Thunder, so I feel like it's the only kind of right place to kind of start. And I feel like I've already mentioned, Frontierland is kind of DLP's time to shine, and I implore anyone to try and tell me that DLP does not have the best Big Thunder, because you're just wrong. You're just wrong.
Thunder in a thunder.
Like,
yeah.
You go underground, you go under the lake, you go out onto a whole separate island. Like, it's streaks ahead of the other Big Thunders. Even though I haven't gone on all of them, but I will die on that hill.
I literally have
Boot Hill.
The whole underwater thing is probably the biggest winner.
Yeah.
It's just so cool. It's so clever. It fits everything so well. I also have the Big Thunder from DLP. It's great.
It's fantastic. And I feel like you get such, and I mean, this is probably the same for kind of any Big Thunder, but I love Big Thunder. It's probably my favorite Disney coaster.
Wow.
I would say. I just think it's really like fun. It's not, if you sit kind of closer to the front where it's a bit slower, it's not quite as like scary. It is a very thrilling attraction. However, if you sit at the back, you just get whipped round.
And I swear to God, that time we went to that Phantom Manor thing, it was faster.
In the dark. Oh my God.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's because it was in the dark and we couldn't see stuff, or if they genuinely made it faster. But my God, what a time.
It was intense. It was intense. But I feel like Big Thunder, regardless of what time of day you can go on it, it's just perfect. If you go on it first thing in the morning during extra magic time, couldn't ask for a better wake up. It'll mess up your hair for the entire day, but who cares?
Yeah, no.
You will be so awake.
Yeah, Big Thunder first thing in the morning is fantastic. And I remember that time we went and it was when the key was on sale and we weren't sure if we could get into Frontierland or not. And we just walked in and we're like, hey, Big Thunder, first ride of the day, like first carriage of the day, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, it was brilliant. But I also equally love it in the evening as well, because the lighting is lovely. And then you can kind of just see the like little twinkly lights on Main Street, and you can see the castle, and then Phantom Manor's all lit up beautifully. I love it.
Yeah, it works very well. It's
big fave.
Aesthetically sound.
Agreed. What ride do you want to pick next?
Next, I suppose we might just keep with what we both definitely have, and that is Phantom Manor, because it fits with Thunder Mesa. It just works so well. Like, I've literally written down the whole Thunder Mesa ideal that is housed in DLP just works so well, and I highly enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I even have the reopening thing from when we went to Phantom Manor, that thing. And even reading it, I'm like, oh, it's just everything makes sense.
Yeah. And again, I think, like, I feel like my just kind of like phrase for the whole podcast is going to be like, DLP is time to shine. But because they have that whole Thunder Mesa story, like you said, it makes the whole land so much more cohesive, and they have characters that are specific to Frontierland in DLP that like show up randomly. Remember when the mayor and his wife were there at the Phantom Manor reopening?
Oh yeah, I was like, who's this bitch?
It was just, it was bizarre. But yeah, no. I mean, I did also include Liberty Square from Walt Disney World. However, the choice between Haunted Mansion in Walt Disney World or Phantom Manor in DLP, like, I'm such a Phantom Manor fangirl. Like, I love it. It's so creepy, but in a really great way. And I actually really like all the new stuff that they've put in. I like the new pre-show that's in there. I like the new storyline, and that they have varied it and they've kind of taken it. Used to feel a little bit like they shoehorned in the original Haunted Mansion story and the stretching room and the paintings into Phantom Manor. But then when you actually got into the ride, it had a completely different story. And it didn't really, to me anyways, it didn't make sense. It didn't match up. However, now with the story being all about the Ravenswoods, I can't speak. Ravenswoods. And Melanie's father killing all her suitors and all that kind of stuff. I think the actual overall story makes much more sense. And I mean, and then you still end up in the kind of the dead Thunder Mesa bit that doesn't really match up to everything else, but it also matches up with the land as a whole. I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, literally, that would be my only thing, is that, like, the mayor's supposed to be, like, the mayor's dead, but then also he's alive outside.
Yeah, and he's like, beware of hitchhiking ghosts. And it's like, mate, we don't have the hitchhiking ghosts in this one. Like, they're not a thing.
I wouldn't mind, though, if there was hitchhiking ghosts in, like, it could have been incorporated into that scene. Yep. It wouldn't have been that hard.
No.
But yeah.
Yeah, big fave. Big fave.
So after Phantom, what's your next one?
I'm going to go with Splash.
Oh, excellent. Which one?
I picked the one from Walt Disney World purely because that's the one I've been on. And I really enjoyed that one. And I really like the exterior of it. Now, if I were to, because I'm trying to think mentally where I would put everything in the context of the current DLP Frontierland. So in Disney World, you kind of go around a lake, and then Phantom Manor's not Phantom Manor, good lord, Big Thunder's down at the back, and then Splash is kind of in at the corner. So I think maybe, like, you know, when you like carry on down Boot Hill and you kind of go up to the very end of the graveyard, and then there's all this kind of like just vacant land back there. I think I would maybe continue and build that on a bit and then put Splash Mountain over there.
Yeah, I was also thinking pretty much the same thing, but just from the other side. So do you know where that playground thing is that isn't always open?
Oh, yes.
I was thinking of having like the entrance in there, because then it would just be that little bit further away from everything. Just from like the splash aspect. Oh, excuse me. And then you could have people you could have like a thing where, like in Splash Mountain Walt Disney World, where you can stand around it and watch people come down the flume. I just think there's a bit more room for it there. But you know what? It really doesn't matter. As long as it's in the water somewhere, that's all that really matters. Yeah,
I agree. And I particularly wanted the one in Walt Disney World, because the one in Disneyland, you sit singularly. I really can't speak today. Good lord. You sit in single file. So you can't sit beside the person you're with, but it also means it's more of a slow loader, because there's still 6 rows, but you can only fit 6 people, whereas you can fit 12 people into the one in Disney World. And it's obviously much more fun when you get to kind of sit with your friend or whoever you're there with. So yeah, I don't like when you have to sit by yourself on rides.
Makes you feel lonely.
So lonely.
Then moving on from Splash Mountain, my next one is I've picked Tom Sawyer's Island from Disneyland Resort.
Very good.
I kind of just moved into this one next because of where we just both put our respective Splash Mountains, because I want Tom Sawyer to just go out that little bit further. And basically, you know, when you go on the Molly Brown and you get to the back, where it's like, oh, you think something's cool is going to happen, but nothing actually happens.
Yes.
That's where I want to put Tom Sawyer Island.
Okay, fair.
And just actually have cool things happening there.
Yeah, makes sense. I picked the Tom Sawyer's Island from Disney World for no other reason other than I'd already picked 3 things from Disneyland, and I was like, an island's an island.
That's fair.
But I like the idea of it having like, much like it does in Disney World, having like picnic tables, or maybe it having like a little map of things that you can go find and kind of mark off or something like that. Just kind of it being a place where you can just go and spend some time and kind of get a little bit away from the park, especially like a lot of families do bring food in. So it's kind of a place where you can go and you can sit and kind of be away from people and be away from crowds and stuff. So yeah, I picked the one from Disney World.
Agreed.
I'm curious, because I know you are not necessarily a fan of this. Did you pick a Country Bear Jamboree?
Yes.
You did?
I picked the one from Tokyo because Tokyo has a Jingle Bear Jamboree at Christmas.
Oh my god.
And that's why I picked that one. I was like, I don't need this ride. And then I was like, actually, what's the Tokyo one like? And then boom, Jingle Bear Jamboree.
What's the jingle one like?
I don't know, I didn't actually watch it, but it was enough for me to know that it was Christmas themed, that I was happy. It was 16 minutes long. It was such a long video. I didn't need to watch that. But
Okay.
yeah, so I've picked the Country Bear Jamboree from Tokyo, and I actually think that's called Country Bear Theatre. But
Yeah.
then at Christmas, it's Jingle Bear Jamboree.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Boom.
Where would you put it?
See, I don't know. I think the DLP Frontierland needs an extension because
Oh, big time.
I need to basically push it all out. I need to get one of those like pusher outer things. Do you know, like a not a shoehorn, but those things you can put in things to basically push them out like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't even explain it, guys. I'm
Not
sorry.
a visual medium, but I know what you mean.
I don't even know what I mean. And basically just stretch the whole thing out. So have the
Okay.
same layout that it has, but basically make gaps in between things. So
Okay.
I probably wouldn't have the Frontierland Theatre because I don't have any shows like that
Okay.
to house there. So I'd probably put it there because then it would be next to Splash Mountain.
Fair.
So yeah, did you pick one?
I picked the one from Disney World. Now, I've not done Country Bear Jamboree, to be perfectly honest, and I honestly don't know if it's something that I would spend the time doing.
No, to be honest, I wouldn't either. But the whole Christmas thing just really got me.
I had a feeling. But I feel like it's one of those things that a lot of people do love, and it's one of those kind of old Disney attractions, kind of like the Tiki Room, but obviously a little bit different to the Tiki Room, that it's kind of just one of those Disney staples. So I picked the one from Disney World. I would put it, if we're talking kind of within the context of the DLP one, you know, kind of over where Silver Spur Steakhouse is.
Yes.
Like as you're going over to Phantom Manor. Maybe somewhere along there. Like chuck an extra building in there.
Yeah. I feel you.
Go get scared by bears and then go into Phantom Manor. I don't know.
Yeah. Just keep that spooky train rolling.
Exactly.
And then, I also picked the Molly Brown. I don't know if you picked a boat.
Lovely. I did.
But in my head, you get on the Molly Brown and then you can get off at Tom Sawyer Island. And that's the only way to get there, which could be problematic for cast members, but I don't really care. But that's what you do. You get on and then you can get off at Tom Sawyer, or you can stay on and just do the full round.
So kind of like the train.
Yeah, pretty much, except there's water in the way.
Well, yeah.
There's no other way. Like there's no other way off Tom Sawyer Island apart from the boat. Like you can't just walk off it as you please.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I just chose the Molly Brown because in my eyes they're kind of all the same. But Molly Brown, you know, was a Titanic survivor and she's gas. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I picked the Mark Twain riverboat from Tokyo Disneyland purely because I had picked nothing from Tokyo Disneyland. So
that's fair.
Again, I think the boats are one and the same. Like I do recommend, if you haven't been on one of those Frontierland boats, do it. It's a bit of crack. Again, kind of you can sit down, most of them have seats if you want, or you can kind of just take some pictures. Particularly in DLP, you get some really nice kind of vantage points of Big Thunder Mountain and of Phantom Manor as well. So yeah, I like having a boat.
It took me like 6 trips to actually go on it, but once I went on it, you know, it was fun.
Exactly, you enjoyed it once you did. And it's not something that I would do every trip, but I would do every couple trips.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's my thought process.
And then that's all my rides apart from one show. Do you have any more rides?
Kind of. So I've also picked, from Critter Country and Disneyland, I've picked The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Now you had put this in your Fantasyland, so
yes, I stole it.
That's fair. I'm trying to think where I would put this. I would maybe put it down by Cowboy Cookout. Like put a building over in that corner where sometimes Goofy and Pluto are, like down in that back corner, somewhere over there. I don't know. I think that'd be cute. And then the only other thing that I picked is the Davy Crockett canoes from Disneyland, because I just think that'd be kind of fun.
Ooh,
I
very
like canoes.
interesting.
It's basically, they're like just big giant canoes, and you can fit I think you can fit like 10 people in them or something like that. And then everybody gets a little oar and they like do a little lap of the island. And I'm like, that could be fun.
Yeah.
So maybe that could be another way of getting to and from the islands.
Ah, yes.
Help with the pesky water.
Yeah. Oh, yes. That you can't just walk on.
Nope. And then, so there's one item left from Frontierland. Do you want to tell the lovely people?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, because I was like, Hall of Presidents is in Liberty Square, and I just did not pick that.
Oh, absolutely not.
I literally wrote down.
No.
I wrote down, do we need a Hall of Presidents? I'm going to go with no. I mean, for me, I personally just don't care for it. I would prefer to swap it for like just a chill out space with things to do for kids and a drinks and snacks stand and maybe have Roman cowboys and Western ladies.
I would happily just replace it with toilets. Like, no.
Yeah.
I didn't, like, I was in Disney World in 2015, so when Barack Obama was still president of the United States, and I still didn't go see it. I absolutely would not be going into it now.
Yeah, no.
Not a hope in hell.
I know that the symbolicness of it from Disneyland when it first started, like that was a whole thing, but like
Yeah.
I don't care. I just don't care. I don't think it needs a place in Disney anymore. I personally, I think it's quite an outdated thing to have. I know it's very American, and that's why it's there, because you know they're Americans.
America.
But yeah, personally, I think it doesn't really have a place in Disney anymore, because I think Disney has very much moved on from where it was when it opened.
Yeah.
But yeah, no go for the Hall of Presidents, but yes, go for Fantasmic. I've picked the Fantasmic from Disneyland Resort. I basically just said all things, I think all the water associated things fit really well in Frontierland, because everything's just basically based in the water. So I was like, yes, Fantasmic, go.
Like, and could you imagine like having like projections and shit like onto Big Thunder?
Yeah.
Because like that's where it would go. So I'm just like, oh, and the one in Disneyland has a big pirate ship and there's a whole Pirates of the Caribbean bit of it. And I'm just like, I love every bit of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Big fan of Fantasmic. The song is just amazing. Are there any other show type things that you would want?
No, I thought Fantasmic sort of brought all the pizzazz. So I didn't really pick anything else.
Okay. I have one, which I don't think you would have anticipated me picking, but you'll also want it. And that's Great Moments in History with Muppets.
Oh, you know, since Chapek ruined our lives and made that go away, I completely forgot that it existed.
Yeah.
When he put all those Muppets out of business.
Yeah. But just the American parts. Like, I always thought that bit was just comical. And I think that kind of first bit of Frontierland where you walk in and the Lucky Nugget's on one side and Thunder Mesa Mercantile's there, if you had a couple extra buildings, you could have it in that kind of central hub area.
Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, agreed.
Just think it's fun.
I kind of just did literally ever since they just defuncted it and was like, now fun. Then I actually just forgot it existed. But yeah, that'd be great.
Fair. And characters.
Yeah, so as I said, I quite like same way in Adventureland where I wanted roaming pirates. In Frontierland, I want roaming cowboys and cowgirls. But also, like, when I said Western ladies, that's what I meant. You know, like the Western style female outfits? Like, that's what I want. And then I also think having Woody and Jessie constantly there makes perfect sense. I want them as like a proper meet and greet. Like, they will be here Monday to Sunday this time. They'll be here all day. One of those ones. And also having Mickey and Minnie in cowboy outfits, because Minnie's cowgirl outfit is fantastic, and I'd like to see a Mickey Mouse one.
Fair.
And yeah, I didn't really have any other characters because I felt like we'd packed Frontierland out so much with so many other things, and none of them are really IP based, apart from Country Bear Jamboree and I guess kind of Splash Mountain. The rest of them are very Disney rides. They're like, they don't have any IP in them, so it was kind of difficult to make areas like we did with the other lands. So that was kind of all I had. And I find that like fair. It kind of works not having loads of meet and greets in Frontierland as is. It fits kind of right. Maybe Chip and Dale again, because Chip and Dale are gas.
And Chip and Dale have those adorable little outfits with the little denim, like the little denim tassels. Jackets and the little hats.
yeah.
Oh,
fair.
Too cute.
Yeah, but that was it then.
The only things that I would potentially add, so I like the idea of Merida maybe kind of being in this area, because she's usually floating around that kind of back end area of Frontierland in DLP, and I just like Merida being out and about. I think she's a badass princess, so why not have her out? Also, just more princesses for people to be able to meet would be great. I I'm down for having Cowgirl Minnie. However, I'm not having Phantom Manor Mickey, because Phantom Manor Mickey
Oh yeah, that's
is
fair.
my favorite Mickey Mouse ever, because he's
Yeah,
just
that's fair.
great. And he's
He's
all
very funny.
spooky. Or even like Lucky Nugget Mickey in his like little like dapper outfit where he kind of looks like he owns a barbershop. Also very cute.
I like any form of Mickey Mouse that isn't him in his suit. Because like
Agreed.
we've talked about this before, but like because he is the poster boy for the company, it's very difficult for him to have an exuberant amount of fun with guests in that regard. Like obviously he's enjoyable to meet, but he's very much a by the book character.
Yeah.
But when you put him in outfits that are a bit more fun, like he can be a bit more fun, because he's like, oh, I'm not in my work clothes, I'm in my fun time clothes.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think in general, I like the idea of just having more roaming characters. So I know Frontierland and Walt Disney World, they have Brer Bear and Brer Fox, and I think Brer Rabbit just kind of float around Frontierland, and they have some of the bears from Country Bear Jamboree just kind of floating around, and sometimes there's like dance parties with them, and I like the idea of that kind of happening. If there's gonna specifically still be a Dia de los Muertos kind of area around there, I like the idea of still having Miguel, or better yet, rather than having Puppet Miguel, maybe have the Miguel akin to the one that's in Magic Happens, because he's great.
Agreed.
Yeah, I just like the idea of there being more kind of walk around the characters. Also, I want Cadaver Dance just permanently.
I knew you were
more
gonna
live
say
music.
That. I nearly wrote that down. I nearly was like, Sinead's gonna want strictly Cadaver Dance.
I like the idea of there being like a band, because there's always kind of like a little like country band in the Frontierland in Disney World, and that's kind of where they have the dance party with the bears and stuff, and I think that's really like fun when you have kind of like themed music, because there is that band that are sometimes outside Silver Spur Steakhouse.
Yeah,
rarely, but they are sometimes there, and it's kind of fun. Gives a bit more atmosphere to it.
Yeah, no, I do enjoy the live music, I have to say now. And with that, the only other thing that I'm definitely requesting is some form of the Lucky Nugget.
Yes.
I would prefer it to have more of a show than it currently has. Like, I do enjoy the shows that it has, but I want more of a show. But yeah. I definitely want the Lucky Nugget.
I agree. It's akin to I think it's a Golden Horseshoe in Disneyland. But the DLP one tends to have kind of, they do a lot of like puppet shows, which I actually find really like enjoying. I find it really enjoyable. I've just too many podcasts this week. I can't speak. But yeah, I like the idea of having something like that. But I do agree. I would like to have kind of some bigger show numbers with some more actual actors and singers and dancers and stuff like that. I think that would be quite fun. I like the idea of having something along the lines, and maybe it would be too close to the Lucky Nugget, but maybe something like Hoop-de-Doo.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, I was like, I quite like the idea of having a Hoop-de-Doo in the park. Like, in my mind, it's just that bit of an extra effort to go to Hoop-de-Doo.
Yeah.
Because it's so far away.
Oh, absolutely. But I think it fits, like, it obviously, like, you could take Hoop-de-Doo out of Wilderness Lodge? It's not Wilderness Lodge. Wherever it is. You could literally take it from there and plonk it straight into Frontierland, and it would make perfect sense.
Yeah. So
I would love to kind of have that as a more kind of like premium meal option. Like a
two dinner credit type thing.
Yeah. Although I think it's only one, and you get free alcohol at it, so madness.
Hoop-de-Doo review. That's where where all the food comes out in like a bucket?
Yeah. So you eat family style.
Will they be able to do family style anymore?
I don't know.
Because my argument is that if you're family style, you're only with the people on your table.
Yeah.
So I would assume yes.
Yeah, and that you can be sat with just, like, they don't just add loads of people to your table. Like, you can just be sat 2 people. So that's fine. I like the idea of keeping a Mexican themed restaurant. Doesn't necessarily have to be Fuente del Oro. However, if I could get the loaded fries back, that would be great. Thank you.
Like, they have the ingredients. Why don't they just keep it on the menu? It's the same stuff. Mexican food is the same 5 ingredients, just in different forms.
Yeah. But yeah, I think a good Mexican restaurant with good vegetarian options and damn good churros is pretty damn essential.
Yes, churros for the win.
Yeah. And honestly, I kind of like the idea of just having like a saloon, like having kind of like just like a little bar.
Oh wow, hot take.
I think it'd be quite nice. You go in, you get a little cocktail, you get a little whiskey, it'd be a good time.
They don't really have bars in Disney, do they?
Not in the main kind of castle parks usually. Like there's just like bars in like Epcot and stuff like that, and in Hollywood Studio. It's basically everywhere, but the castle parks tend to have like just bars.
That's fair.
But I mean, if you could buy champagne on Main Street, I don't see why you can't go in and get a drink at Frontierland.
Yeah, that's very true. That's fair.
Just putting that out there. I like the idea of having like a saloon that has like the swingy doors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it'd be fun. But yeah, I think that's everything for Frontierland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we just basically want DLP but bigger and better.
Yeah, pretty much. Drag in a couple extra bits from elsewhere, up the food game a bit. And yeah, do you know what? I think part of the reason also why I like Frontierland so much is it has the better food options for me anyways.
Yeah.
Purely because I know I cannot always eat something that I really enjoy eating in Fuente del Oro.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I can get that fairly decent vegetarian burger in the Lucky Nugget with the good fries.
Oh yeah.
And free refills. So I think that's why I like Frontierland so much, because it has 2 of my favorite rides, 2 places I can eat, and it has arguably the best shop besides Harrington's, because Thunder Mesa Mercantile is fab.
Well, there you go. That's it, everybody. Frontierland. As we say at the end of every episode, tomorrow, get on the phone.
Exactly. And in fairness, with the exception of certain things, I feel like getting the DLP one up to scratch with what we have in mind wouldn't be that expensive, with the exception of having to put in a splash mountain.
And making all the gaps in between all the buildings so we could fit in everything else we wanted.
Yeah, but like, I feel like Splash is the only like essential that's not already there.
Yeah. See, then your problem is like with DLP, it's a water ride, so it's cold, so they get moany because they're French and it's wet. And
It's a tough time.
Yeah, tough time being French. My argument is Tato Park has a fucking water ride, and it's freezing over here.
Yeah, this is very true.
Like, yeah, okay, France gets snow sometimes, but it also gets to 36 degrees in the middle of summer. You don't have to have it open all the time.
Yeah.
Florida don't even have theirs open all the time.
No. I mean, you'd have to dredge it and do like upkeep and stuff, so just do that when it's cold. It's fine. It's great. But anyways, there are Frontierlands.
Yes.
Let us know what your thoughts are.
Next week, we are finishing up with Tomorrowland's
Yes. Which I'm
Ceteras.
very, very intrigued about, because I feel like Tomorrowland is the place that I don't have a lot of like emotional relationships with a lot of the rides, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. It was just funny. Yeah.
So, and then after that, I suppose we'll figure out what way we want to build out our second parks. But I feel like that is a much larger task, because we're taking like 6 or 7 very different parks and trying to build them into one massive ultra park.
Mine's gonna have 3 levels.
Levels?
Just to fit everything in.
Oh, fair.
Because otherwise it would be
massive.
the size of Dublin.
Well, you need somewhere big enough to house 2 Tower of Terrors.
Oh, this is very true. Oh my god, I'm putting them on top of each other.
Oh my god.
I'm not really, that was a joke.
And on that terrifying note.
Thanks so much for listening, guys. If you want to contact us, you can contact us on Instagram. It's at Mickey Waffles Pod, or on Twitter. It's the same handle, just exclude the S.
We also have a Facebook page. All of our social media is linked in the show notes below. And yeah, please feel free to share us with your friends. Pass the episode over to anybody else that you think will also enjoy it. We very much appreciate it. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please do go give us a rating and leave us a review, it helps us out a lot. It's just nice.
If you're not listening to Apple Podcasts, get your nearest friend who has an iPhone and put a review on their Apple Podcast account.
Exactly.
Just FYI, you can do that also. Friends are there for a reason. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
This podcast is part of the After Dark Podcast Network.